America.
All right, so welcome to the stream. So Troy Francis, Tiffany Fox, and we are here to talk about women being dominated. So yeah, before we get into it, just to remind you guys, we have a course which is, well, it's kind of live at the moment. Basically, we're in the pre-sale period at the moment. We have a course which is called Magnetic Sexual Confidence, which teaches guys basically how to go from simp to pimp, basically, right? I mean, it's, if you are somebody who is maybe getting friend zoned a lot, or you're maybe somebody who's suffering from sexual shame, or you're not, or even somebody, you're going out, you're maybe approaching women and you're getting some sort of success, but it's not really kind of clicking, it's not connecting, then this is the course for you, because we take you through the whole process from the initial meeting to the date, to bring her back to your apartment, and then to the bedroom, and then what you actually do in the bedroom itself. So obviously myself, I'm a dating coach. I've been working in this industry for 10 years. You've got Tiffany, who's worked as an adult entertainment actress for about 12 years, I think, about the same amount of time. So we've joined forces to bring you this amazing world-beating product, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And I also told Troy he should learn how to tie some rope knots, so we can do probably in-person demonstrations or maybe a webinar. We haven't decided yet.
Exactly. So there's lots of things that that we can potentially do with this. But yeah, so what was I going to say? So dominance, it's often said that the most important aspects in terms of attractiveness for a man is his ability to be dominant. And obviously that then carries through to the bedroom, right? To actually being dominant in the bedroom situation. Why do you think that is? Why do you think women like that so much?
Because it shows alpha. Like women love being dominated and thrown around like a rag doll in bed. I know I do. So it's something that, like, a lot of women are into, but it's like they're a little bit shy to bring it up. So I think, like, you guys as men, you come in and throw some extra little tricks that she don't know about, you probably wow her a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. But so, I mean, what is it about guys being dominating, do you think, that women really appreciate?
I mean, it's hot. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's like I'm not being, like, guided, whether it's like my hair, my throat being picked up and thrown around, I'm just like, what are you so scared about?
Okay, yeah.
And
exactly.
It's like, it makes like women think that you might be like a little scared or timid. And then for me, it doesn't show that you have confidence as a man to take control.
Yeah, and it seems like this is not something that it's just a few women who like this. It seems like this is almost, I don't want to say universal, because obviously not everyone's the same, but it does seem like this is something that is very widespread. It seems like a lot of women have this same kind of view.
Basically, yeah. Because it's like, I think it's like women get bored in the bedroom, obviously, so it's something to spice it up.
Yeah, I mean, when you say that, when they get bored, you mean with like the vanilla sort of kind of basic
vanilla, ask her if it's okay to give her a couple light slaps on the face, couple slaps on the face, couple slaps on the ass, send her on her way.
Absolutely. Just trying to improve my sound quality a little bit there. So yeah, I mean, definitely spice it up a bit. I mean, it does seem like, obviously, we've had 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, well, it's quite a long time ago now, actually, wasn't it? But so it's a massive phenomenon. The biggest selling, I think, one of the biggest selling books of all time, probably the biggest selling book of all time. I don't know whether Harry Potter beat it, but it's up there. And so it just goes to show how many women are into this more like rougher edged kind of sexual interaction. Yeah. I think a lot of guys are a little bit afraid of this kind of thing. I think there's probably a number of reasons. Firstly, there's sort of like, well, look, I mean, there's kind of sexual shame, or there's a sort of unwillingness for a guy to own his like masculine dominance as a guy, particularly in the modern world, because the modern world kind of frowns on it, doesn't it? In mainstream society, at least, when you're out and about, you're not meant to be, we're no longer meant to be, dominant in our dealings with women, because of course, everyone is equal, and so therefore, you know, you're meant to be very respectful and everything else, and that's fine on a societal level. But when it comes to the sexual level, that's not going to be setting the world on fire, is it?
No. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I think it's like shy society and everything. I think it's like a little bit taboo too.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So if anyone's got
what?
Carry on.
Oh, I mean, like, you know, because people are like shy, like doing like kink BDSM, sex toys and stuff. So, you know, people would be shy with, you know, showing their dominance.
Well, I think it's a little bit alien to a lot of guys to feel that they can do that, to feel like they've almost like they've got permission to do that, if that makes sense. But of course, really, and look, of course, everything has to be consensual, right? You know, nobody's not saying that, but at the same time, it is important that the guy kind of takes control, isn't it? So how does the guy do that in a way that is consensual, but at the same time he's still showing dominance?
I think just asking a woman, do you like being dominated? It's like as simple as that.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to that, just asking the woman, like, you know, it's always best to ask what people's limitations are, what's okay, what's not okay. Because if you do something she doesn't like, she might not come back.
True. Absolutely. I think your audio's a little bit
Really?
unclear, by the way. So
I think
if anyone,
it's because it's like it's super windy and we just had a huge storm here. I sent you the video of my car.
How bad is it? How bad is it?
Certain areas it's pretty bad.
It looks like super bad.
Yeah, like there's some places that have like 3 feet of water and there's like canals overflowing. So I'm like waiting to see them alligators come out and swim in the street, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, basically, so dominance is this thing that women are just attracted to. Do you think that women can sense that a guy might be dominant from the way that he behaves in real life before she's even, you know, got intimate with him?
Yeah, because if you're like super simpy, like a chick can tell right away, like other stuff. So I think like, you know, I'm assuming everyone that's signing up want to be like masculine men or are masculine men and alpha men. So it's like you just gotta take control over her. You don't want to show her that you're weak or you're shy because either she's gonna run all over you or she's gonna leave you in the dust.
Yeah. So Christian says women sense it intuitively, which I think is true because and this really gets to the heart of why this course is so important because we're going to teach bedroom skills in the course. All right. So the nuts and bolts, what turns are on, what do you do, etc. But
I said the nuts and bolts of sex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But the important thing is that if you get a handle on this knowledge, you're going to actually be able to attract more women in the first place because there's no point, obviously, in learning all this stuff if you're not getting women to come back to the bedroom with you, right? But if the more that you understand these things, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to get women who are going to want to engage with you on that level. So we're kind of covering all bases here, aren't we? Really?
We are A to Z. I think everything, even stuff we think up on the fly, it's like we're gonna be nothing but adding to this course. So it's like getting the early bird, getting the early price is your best time to join because we're still adding stuff day by day to this. When we think of something, hey, that's a great idea, let's add that. Hey, that's a great idea, add that.
Yeah, well, the other thing, because we're going to be doing some live webinars as well, some live sessions between the 1st to the 5th of December, and obviously with those, the point of those is really to, I mean, the video course itself is very comprehensive. I mean, you've got pretty much everything you need to know with it. You could just watch that, and that would just, you know, basically turn you from simp to pimp in, you know, in a few hours or whatever it takes you to watch it. But more than that, we're also going to be teaching live as well. And what that's going to do is any gaps that you feel are there or anything that you don't quite understand or you need to have clarified, we're going to be able to help clarify that when we're actually teaching these live sessions as well. So,
or even if something that's not mentioned, ask us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the material, it's pretty comprehensive, isn't it? I mean, we've covered a lot of bases here, but obviously, the thing is, the longer that you teach this stuff or stuff related to this, the more you realize, even as a coach, what may seem obvious to you doesn't always seem obvious to the person. So people sometimes need things explained, or some people need things explained in a slightly different way or whatever. So we're trying to sort of cover that as well, and really just take everyone by the hand and lead them through this process of becoming more sexual, becoming more comfortable with this stuff.
I want to see nothing but people growing.
Exactly.
Like my happy result of this course is people saying, thanks, Troy, thanks, Tiff. My life has drastically improved because my job, like as a whole, with my heart, will be completed.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, how does this relate to sort of like BDSM or fetish? Because obviously you can then take it a bit further and it becomes more like this fetish type thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like fetish is really important to like implement in your sex life, like blindfold to get her senses. Some people like whips.
Huh.
I mean, I like to be whipped. But like people like whips, some people like bound orgasms with like putting a friggin' tying a little vibrating toy to her kukla.
Yeah.
Like a lot of women like stuff like that. Like a lot of women like being tied down, like feeling helpless, and then like
Yeah, so
there's a lot of things I can tell people would turn women on. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that turn me on. So it's like I could say a bunch of things that would be really helpful to the fellas.
Yeah, exactly. And without making it a big sales pitch for the course, this is the value really of coming on board, because we've got a female opinion here, right? Well, sorry, that way. We've got Tiff on board, who is going to be basically telling you how it is from the female perspective, which is very helpful to have, because, I mean, with the best will in the world, guys don't always, obviously can't see it from that female side. So it's very helpful to be able to have a woman to basically give you the real inside knowledge,
Yeah, I think having a woman's perspective is really important, because it's just like everyone just going off a man solely. Like men don't really fully understand women, because we're a different breed. Just like women don't fully understand men.
Yeah, I mean, I think that how can I put this? I think there are guys who get women more than others, or at least they kind of, after a lot of study and experience, they kind of know certain things that work a lot of the time. But and so they kind of get it from the outside. But even then, you're not like actually in that you're not actually in women's head. You're not actually experiencing it so there's always going to be that gap of real knowledge, isn't there? I think.
Didn't you post something about like wanting to know about like what's going on in a woman's head, and then being grateful you don't know what's going on in their head?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was about like, I think I was just saying you'll never know what's really going on in her head, and then maybe that's a good thing,
Oh, you really don't know. I mean, sometimes it might be a good thing to your benefit if you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone's like sort of sealed off, aren't they? Everyone's in their own bubble of their own experience. And even if you've been married for 10, 15, 20 years, I don't think you can really get inside the other person's mind. I mean, you're always going to be somewhat, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? There's always that sort of mystery about the other person, but particularly the other sex.
Yeah, but then there's some people that are open book and everything as soon as you ask them. So there's the anomaly of that too. But most women, you'll never know what's going on in their head.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else about? Sorry?
Are you sick?
Yeah. So what else about dominance then?
Well, let's see. I mean, every alpha man wants a beta woman to submit. So I think when you're alpha and you show your alpha, that's another way to see if she will submit and follow.
Well, yeah, not a beta woman. It's more like a submissive woman, I think.
And Charlotte says, "Hey Troy, big man. I do like to dominate men. Are dominant men more likely to be jealous?"
What do you think about that? I don't know, really. I mean,
it depends on the dynamic of the relationship, because I was a dominatrix for a bit and stuff and dominating men, but it's just like, I don't know, like I couldn't really do it, like I like to be slapped. I don't like to slap people.
No, but the question is though, are dominant men likely to be more jealous, I guess, than guys who aren't dominant? I mean, I don't necessarily think there's a correlation, because some dominant men are maybe just dominant with everybody, and they don't really, and they're with this one woman and they're dominant with her, and then they move on to the next and they're going to be dominant with the next. So it's not like, oh, I'm super jealous and that's why I'm dominant. It's more like dominance is just part of his character, if that makes sense. On the other hand, I suppose what she's saying is that you could have a guy who's very controlling, and then being part of being controlling is being dominant, if that makes sense.
I mean, or you guys can like fight for dominance and do some Mr. and Mrs. Smith shit. That might be hot.
What's that?
You never seen that movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and they're like spies and stuff?
I never watched it. Was it good?
You gotta watch it.
Yeah?
Yeah, you gotta watch it. You can watch it with me next time you come back to America. We'll watch it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, no, I've never seen that. So Christian says, why do women lie and say they want a nice, kind guy? Literally every woman says it. We all know that's the least important thing to them. Well, you say it as well.
I mean, like, every woman likes a nice and kind guy, like any genuine, like, woman that's in touch with her feminine would like that. But also, it's like low-key, we like being told what to do.
But you can't. The problem is that it can't just be based on niceness, though, can it?
Yeah, no. I mean, like a little touch of like assholeness and like sprinkle on it, because this guy would be an asshole to me sometimes, and I'd be like, but then I'll start editing content and I'll like laugh at the shit that we say, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, we'll get over it. It depends how you all interact with each other and stuff. Well, like if you pull the little bit of an asshole card, it might turn her on, but it depends how you do it.
Yeah, but I mean,
how would you describe that? The nice guy, and then how would you describe that with like the nice guy with the touch of asshole?
I think that's the important thing, isn't it? I think the woman needs to know that she's kind of safe, right? Like safe, for there's some fundamental. I mean, you know, obviously, you because otherwise, then you get into the realms of like abusive relationships, and I mean, we don't really want to go down that rabbit hole, because obviously women will go back to abusive relationships, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about being sort of dominant, but within the framework of a consensual, like, okay, we're both happy with this, we're both getting off on this kind of a situation, right? So fundamentally, I think she wants to be with a guy who's going to sort of, like you said, throw around like a ragdoll a bit, but also she knows that fundamentally he's a decent guy. He's going to treat her well in other ways. It's more like in the bedroom you're kind of role playing to some extent, I think. Does that make sense?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So I don't know if they're necessarily lying when they say they want a nice car. I mean, I think it's, well, I think they're not lying. I think
nicely, you know what I mean? Like, don't simp too much, type of thing. Like, don't simp, especially in the early days of your guys' relationship. But it's like, gradually open up your nice guy, because if you put your nice guy out there from the beginning and stuff, she might walk all over you, or she might cling to you like a monkey in a tree. I think it'll be two ways with that situation, to be honest.
The thing is, there's the barrier, the bar to being like nice and kind is pretty low, really, isn't it? Like, I'm not saying those are bad qualities, because obviously they're good qualities, but it's not a hard thing to be nice and kind, right? Any dude, you could be an obese kind of, I don't know, dude who lives under a fucking dumpster truck, and like, you're nice and kind. But is she going to want to like fuck with you? Probably not, right? So there's got to be something. Like, women will say it because it kind of is the first thing that comes to mind, and it makes sense. And of course, in theory, they kind of do want that, but there has to be more to it than that, right? There has to be some kind of value there. There has to be some kind of status that the guy has that's going to put her on the radar in the first place. And then the other thing is that carry on.
It depends what kind of woman it is, though. I mean, if she's nice and polite and kind to you, and like she's very feminine, I'll be the nice guy to her. But if she's not feminine and it's like you're going out with a dude type of thing that acts like a dude, treat her like a dude.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think there's also this whole thing about the fact that people are drawn to something they can't quite get, they can't quite grasp hold of. And I think if you're too nice and you're too kind, then you're sort of giving yourself over too easily, in a way, if that makes sense. And then the woman's like, because women always say they like a challenge as well, don't they? Like, what does that mean? Like, women always say, oh yeah, I like a challenge.
I mean, because it's like, I don't know, I think like as human beings, women are really competitive by nature.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they like a challenge.
Yeah, so but a guy who's just like nice and kind isn't really a challenge, is he? Because if you think of the stereotype of that kind of guy, because he's just going to be like, he's just going to be like super compliant and like agreeing with everything she says and whatever.
As Rollo says, alpha fucks, beta bucks.
Exactly. But you could be somebody with a lot of money, but you've got that kind of dark triad edge, right? You can have a bit of both. I don't know. Do dominant alphas bring dancing lightning to fix the scene?
What does that mean? I'm confused.
Is that something to do with porn? I don't know. Women want someone who is dangerous, but they tame. Yeah, okay. That's probably true.
I mean, like, I think like betas can be tamed, but alpha men cannot be tamed. Like, if you're an alpha guy that's not like a yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, don't make yourself easy to tame.
But isn't that what he's saying is that women have the fantasy of like, oh, he's this like super like alpha whatever, but I'm going to be the one who tames him. I'm going to be the one who
That I can fix some lingerie with the hardware belt.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I used to be one of those people that would be like, oh, I can change a man. Can't change a man. You just can't. You guys are more stubborn than us.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a good movie. I feel safe with my guy, but I admit the dominant man I'm with likes it when I get a dominant sense once in a while. Is that healthy in a relationship? I don't know what you mean, really. Do you mean he likes it when he dominates you once in a while? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm like confused. I'm like trying to digest and.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how. Yeah, maybe you can clarify that. And then Skelton says it comes down to giving the impression of superior physical and perhaps psychological power, but judiciously applied in moderation. I think that's probably true. That kind of cuts to it. And then Christian says, right, so it seems like they want a nice guy as long as he's masculine alpha dominant. and satisfy her hypergamy. So how come women don't just say that when asked? Well, I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? You know, you're going to get some girl of fresh and fit, like, so what you looking for in a man? Well, I want a nice guy as long as he's masculine, alpha, and dominant, and satisfies my hypergamy. I mean, like, it's and women aren't necessarily also fully aware of this. I mean, I'm not being patronizing here, but it's a bit like I think it's almost taken as read. If a woman says, "Oh, you know, I like a guy who's like polite," or, you know the old thing about, like, a woman will say, "Well, I like a guy who's a bit nerdy," but what she actually means is like a super hot looking dude who wears glasses sometimes and kind of reads books and, like, oh, you know, that's kind of cute, whatever. But actually, the guy's a fucking Chad. Really, it's just like he's got some nerdy hobbies, and guys are like, well, what, you know, and guys are like, well, what. You know, so you don't really like nerds at all. You just like Chads who are, you know, sometimes read Harry Potter. And it's like, well, why didn't she say that? Well, it's because in her head, it sort of goes without saying, really. It's like, well, yeah, obviously I've got to be fucking attracted to him, you know. But beyond that, what else do I like? Well, I quite like it if he's nice, you know. You know, I mean, so I don't think it's that they're trying to be misleading. I think it's just that they almost, you know, not everyone is like a red pill connoisseur who's really thinking deeply about this stuff. So especially most women. And I think, like, you know, yeah. Oh, right. So, okay. So Charlotte says, so I wondered if it was going to be this. She says, well, he likes it when I become dominant towards him once in a while. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, really. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, if that's what your relationship dynamic is and you're both into it, I think it works. Like, if you guys are both into it.
I think it's,
if you're dominant and he don't like it, it's not going to work. But if you're dominant and he likes it, then it'll work, because there's dudes that are into that type of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, different strokes for different folks, right? I mean, if that's what you're into, if that works for you, then fine. I think it's fine. I mean, it's not really something I'm into, I don't think. I mean, except in a very small way. I mean, if sometimes the woman, you know, she's on top and then maybe she pushes your hands back and she starts riding you harder or something like that, she's being a little bit dominant there. That's kind of okay. That's kind of cute, whatever. But anything,
kind of cute.
well, you know what I'm saying. But anything more than that is not, personally for me. It's not really my bag. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what about she's like on top and grabs your neck to like ride and like
I think even that's a little bit much. Probably
a little bit much.
Mate, yeah, probably. I mean, like, I quite like it. I mean, it can be a turn on in a small way, because it's almost like she is so concerned with getting her pleasure, like, you know, that she's like, right, fuck, I'm going to take control, and there's something kind of hot about that.
Like this, and like,
no,
that you like it.
No, that's too much. That's too much. It's kind of cute in a small way, but yeah, personally for me, anything more than that is is not good, really. Because I think it's the guy. I think as the guy, really, for me, you want to be in control, you know. And that for me feels like the right dynamic. But, you know, that's not for, you know, everyone's different, right? Everyone's got different kind of views on this, so there's no right or wrong, really, you know, unless you're Destiny and your wife's going out and but look, I mean, even that, I mean, you know, again, it's a free country, right? Whatever you want to do. But I think, generally speaking, the thing that seems to work, I mean, like we were saying before, I mean, I think, generally speaking, a lot of women are kind of into the dynamic of the guy being a bit more dominant, them being a bit more submissive. And that seems to be hot for a lot of women. It seems to work well for a lot of guys. So if we're looking at the sort of the general average, that seems to be where it's at, really.
Yeah, women love to be submissive to a dominant man.
Yeah, but I mean, I wonder whether whether Charlotte actually gets off on being dominant as well. Maybe she does. I mean, there are women who do, but you know, for me, it's... Sorry?
Femdom, it exists.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's just not my bag. It's just not, I don't find it, like, sexy, you know? I mean, as I say, except in a very small way. But even then, you know that you could overpower her. You know, you're kind of allowing her to get away with it, but it's not. She's not really dominating. She's just kind of going through the motions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you get to something more than that, where she's like some proper kind of fend-on thing, I just don't find that. I don't find that hot. You know, I just don't. There's nothing sexy about that for me personally.
Which comes in latex and everything with the whip.
Yeah. But some people do, you know. So, so she says she does find it sexy to be dominant. So, you know. So there you go.
I knew she would.
But you said you didn't though, because you did some dominatrix stuff, and you didn't think that was.
I don't like being dominant. Like I like being dominated. Like the whole thing with like the hands and putting them back. That's probably as far as I go with being dominant.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, if we're looking at it, you know, if we're looking at it in general terms, it's not like okay, there's outliers. There's going to be exceptions to the rule. But if we're looking at it overall, basically, generally speaking, women like guys who are dominant. But in order to be dominant, you kind of have to know what you're doing to some extent, right? And this is why I guess it's hard for guys who don't have so much experience, because it's kind of hard. Say you're a virgin, or you've maybe only slept with one woman like 5 years ago. It's kind of hard then to go into a sexual situation and be dominant if you kind of don't even really know the ropes, if that makes sense.
It does. I don't know. I think the kink section is going to be really fun.
Yeah. So another reason
for you to come back to America, so we do like live demonstrations or do this like on like a webinar or something.
Yeah, exactly. She says, okay, and it's not just sexual, it's also in little bits of life too. Ha ha ha. And it's all playful, so not too bad to hurt his sense of alpha. Well, you know, I mean, I don't know what she's getting to here. If she's like, oh, you know, she beats him up when he comes back with the shopping.
The BDSM scene, it sounds like the BDSM scene and everything. It's like that. They do that at lifestyle clubs and everything. They do that like Torture Garden, whatever kitten that you talk about that place. They do it there. They do it at Caliente. They do that at Secrets here in Florida.
Yeah, but I mean, again, but people have different setups on those scenes, though. I mean, in say Torture Garden, for example, a lot of people are actually into. You know, I'd still say the majority of women are probably submissive, and the guys are more dominant there. You know, so you know, obviously there are exceptions to that, but I think what our course is teaching, like magnetic sexual confidence, is really teaching. I suppose it's teaching more about dominance for the guy, given that most of the time that's what women seem to want, and given that that's how the dynamic seems to work well a lot of the time. So we're teaching more of a dominant sort of structure for the guys. But obviously, you know, once you got this stuff down, you can experiment, you can play around, you can do what you like, really.
Yeah, you ask them what they're into. That's literally all you have to do is just ask them what they're into. And we give you the paper, we give you the pen, and then you just write it.
Exactly. Well, what do you think? We've been on for half an hour. We could call it to a close now. Is there anything else that you think we need to cover on?
If anybody has questions and stuff, like put it in.
Yeah, any more questions, put them into the chat.
Questions. I thought it was funny that video I just posted of like a little sneak peek of our module with you talking about furries.
I didn't see that one. Where's that?
YouTube. I aired it this morning, and it's also in your Dropbox folder.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I gotta finish those clips actually. Like tonight, I'm gonna do it after work and everything.
Yeah.
Have the energy.
Yeah.
Or I'll just wake up and I'll knock them all out tomorrow. But yeah, we're gonna be posting some clips. They're gonna be fun.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be posting some teasers from the. We've got our website page for the course going up soon as well. We're just having some technical issues right now, but that should be live, you know, today, later today or tomorrow. So you can get some more sort of insights into the course and so on when we do that. But yeah, I think it's there's a lot to look forward to anyway. I mean, there's a lot of content in this course. It's very, very in depth, and it really takes you down the rabbit hole of, you know, sex. And this is such an important thing for guys to really get a handle on, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is because it's like it's crazy because at least from my experience, there's a lot of guys that don't know what they're doing.
It's the keys to the kingdom, really. You know, if you can get this nailed down, then you're going to be in a much better situation as far as meeting women and attracting women are concerned.
I'm excited for them live demonstrations. That's gonna be fun. You guys are in for a treat for that one.
Exactly.
Without
Okay,
giving all
guys.
the keys of the kingdom away.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, look, if there's no more questions, then we can call this one to a close. But we will be back on very soon, maybe tomorrow or in the near future. So thanks for tuning in. So as far as the course is concerned, you can get it on pre-order now. Okay. The sales page isn't even up yet, which is why. So right now you can get it for $197, and you're basically that's like a reserve price. Okay, it's going to go up very soon. But if you go to that link there, you can sign up at that reserve price. You're going to get the full access to the full video course when it's released. Plus, you're going to get invited to 5 webinars that we're going to be running between the 1st and the 5th of December. And there's going to be like a Telegram group as well and some added bonuses in there. So there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. As I say, you can get that reserve price now. It will go up soon. If you've got any questions or you want to have a chat about it further, you can drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and I can answer any questions that you might have. And we will see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.